He stole the necklace. The scream echoed through the mansion's hall at the exact moment Kevin Ramirez, still holding the Uber Eats bag, took 2 steps back toward the door. The silence that followed was suffocating. The delivery man didn't understand where the accusation came from, but he already felt the stares weighing down on him. The lady of the house was crying. The security guard approached, and the master of the house was already pointing his finger. At that moment, Kevin realized he wasn't just delivering food, he was about to fight for his own dignity. If you've ever felt the tension of such a scene, leave a like and subscribe to follow the truth until the end. Put the bag on the table and don't touch anything else. That was the short phrase spoken by the maid as she opened the mansion door in Beverly Hills for Kevin Ramirez, Uber Eats delivery man. The Los Angeles heat made sweat run down his forehead, but Kevin was used to it. After 9 straight hours riding his electric bike through the busy streets, this would be just another delivery. He crossed the immense hall, the marble floor reflecting the golden light of late afternoon. The walls displayed million-dollar paintings, and just above, a crystal chandelier challenged any tired gaze not to get lost in details. Kevin carefully placed the bag on the side table and took 2 steps back, ready to leave. But at that very moment, he heard hurried footsteps upstairs. Donna Whitmore, the lady of the house, came down the staircase with wide eyes and trembling hands. "My necklace, where is the necklace?" Her voice echoed, reaching everyone nearby. The private security guard, in his black uniform, approached as if he had just received an emergency call. Kevin froze. He was still holding his phone open on the app, waiting for delivery confirmation. Donna's eyes fell directly on him. "You? It must have been you." Her husband, Richard Whitmore, appeared right after. Irritated as if Kevin's mere presence was proof enough, the man pointed his finger. "He was here alone, and now the necklace is gone. There's no other explanation." The silence in the room turned into suffocating tension. The maid, who until then seemed indifferent, lowered her eyes and said nothing. The guard crossed his arms, blocking the way out. The delivery man suddenly stopped being just someone bringing food and became the suspect of a crime. Kevin tried to defend himself. "I only left the delivery where they asked. I didn't even go upstairs. You can check the app, the time, everything. I never—" Richard interrupted him. "The cameras didn't record. Right now, that's no coincidence." Kevin's heart raced. The mansion's cameras were known in the neighborhood, always on, always watching. He looked up at the ceiling and saw one turned off. A cruel stroke of bad luck, or something more. It didn't matter. The accusation had already taken shape, and his word, against the wealth and influence of the Whitmores, seemed to carry no weight at all. Neighbors, alerted by the commotion, began peeking over the walls. Whispers ran through the street. The delivery guy was caught stealing. In just minutes, the scene was set. The Latino worker on a bicycle, surrounded by luxury, accused of taking what wasn't his. The police arrived quickly. 2 Los Angeles officers entered the mansion, listened to the Whitmores' version, and before even asking Kevin what had happened, they told him to empty his pockets. He complied. Phone, worn wallet, house key, nothing else. "This proves nothing. He could have hidden it anywhere." Richard's voice sounded like a sentence. Kevin took deep breaths, trying to stay calm. He knew losing his temper would only make things worse. Even so, the feeling of humiliation burned more than the heat of that afternoon. It wasn't just about the necklace. It was about everyone's gaze, already judging him with no chance to defend himself. The officers decided to take him in for questioning. "It's procedure, sir. We need to file a report." The delivery man felt the world collapse. In seconds, he had gone from exhausted worker to theft suspect in a Beverly Hills mansion. Outside, his bicycle remained leaning against the gate, a silent witness to an injustice about to worsen. Kevin looked at it as he was led to the patrol car. It wasn't just transportation. It was the symbol of daily effort, what allowed him to support his sick mother in their small East Los Angeles apartment. Now, even his bike seemed to be taken along with his dignity. As the car drove away, comments on social media began to explode. Richard's review on the app had already labeled him as suspicious of improper behavior. The news spread among delivery groups where some defended him, others doubted. To everyone, he was no longer just Kevin Ramirez. He had become the delivery man accused of theft at the Whitmore mansion. At the police station, sitting before a cold desk, Kevin repeated his version to the officers. He went in, dropped the food, and left. Nothing more. But each word seemed to dissolve in the air, unconvincing. What weighed more, the word of an app worker or that of a millionaire family from Beverly Hills? Across town, 9-year-old Jacob Whitmore silently watched the drama that had begun in his own home. No one asked his opinion. No one wanted to hear what he had seen. Even so, something inside him pulsed. He knew the story wasn't being told the right way. And at that moment, without Kevin or the officers knowing, the truth remained safe in the memory of a child who, until then, had always been treated as invisible. The West Los Angeles police station room felt far too small for Kevin Ramirez. He kept his hands on the metal table, trying to contain his nerves. The clock on the wall read 10 p.m., and it had been nearly 3 hours of him repeating the same story. He went in, dropped off the food, left. Nothing more. Still, the looks from the two officers made it clear they weren't convinced. Across from him, Richard and Donna Whitmore remained firm, reinforcing their accusation. Their statement was simple, almost rehearsed. He was the only stranger who entered the house. Minutes later, the necklace disappeared. Donna cried in intervals, leaning on her husband's arm. For the officers, that image carried weight. For Kevin, it was like fighting against an invisible wall. Meanwhile, his phone buzzed non-stop in his pocket. Messages from other delivery workers flooded in from Facebook and WhatsApp groups. "Saw your name on the forum, man. They say you got caught stealing. Stay strong, brother. We know these clients make things up. This will stain your profile. Be careful." Kevin didn't reply. The shame was suffocating. He thought of his mother, Lucia Ramirez, who that night was waiting in East LA, worried about the son who always came home late. She depended on his delivery earnings to pay rent and for medication. How could he explain that now he was accused of theft? The app had already sent a notification. Account temporarily suspended for investigation. Tomorrow's deliveries, the week's income, everything was gone. Kevin felt his stomach twist. The injustice wasn't only in being accused, it was in losing the little he had managed to build. The mansion story spread quickly. On Twitter, comments circulated. "Another dishonest delivery guy. Be careful when you open your doors. Don't generalize. Most of them work hard. This case needs a serious investigation. The rich are never suspects, right? It always falls on the weakest." Public opinion was divided, but Kevin had no strength to follow it. Each message felt like an extra weight on his shoulders. During questioning, he tried to hold on to details. The time recorded in the app, the position of the bag on the table, the exact minutes he stayed in the hall. To him, everything seemed logical. But to the officers, they were just the words of someone desperate to defend himself. When they finally released him, it was past midnight. Kevin left the station without handcuffs, but with the feeling of being branded. The neighborhood felt hostile, even in silence. In the following days, Kevin's life spiraled downward. Without deliveries, he relied on temporary odd jobs. Each time he opened the app and saw his account suspended, the despair grew. His savings barely covered expenses. The dream of saving enough to open a small cafe seemed far too distant now. Meanwhile, the Whitmores remained untouched. The police couldn't find the necklace, and their story held firm. Kevin began to feel that his innocence didn't matter. Society trusted the powerful first, and he, a Latino delivery man, was just another name among thousands. The delivery community in Los Angeles debated his case fervently. Some recalled similar situations, where clients tried to blame workers to cover losses or even commit insurance fraud. Others, more skeptical, thought it was risky to defend him without proof. Kevin read in silence, torn between anger and resignation. The nights became unbearable. He lay down, but couldn't sleep. The Whitmores' voices echoed in his mind. "You stole." Every time he closed his eyes, he relived the scene in the mansion's hall, the suspicious looks, the finger pointed at him. The city moved at its usual pace, but for Kevin, everything seemed to slow down. Riding through the streets now felt painful. People didn't recognize him, yet he felt as if he carried an invisible mark. The delivery man, once just another among many, was now remembered as the mansion suspect. And yet, amid the weight of injustice, something unexpected was happening inside the Whitmore household. Jacob, their 9-year-old son, carried in silence an unsettling memory. He had seen something no one else mentioned, something that could completely change the story, but it remained trapped in the thoughts of a child ignored by the adults. At the Whitmore mansion, routine seemed to have returned to normal. The staff carried on with their duties. Donna flaunted smiles at charity dinners, and Richard appeared in Beverly Hills society columns as the successful businessman he had always been. But in the silence of the corridors, someone carried a secret that grew heavier by the day. 9-year-old Jacob Whitmore. Jacob had always been an observant child. He liked playing alone, solving puzzles, and hiding behind curtains to overhear adult conversations. While the chaos of the accusation against the delivery man took over the house, he had seen something no one wanted to listen to. That afternoon, right after Kevin left the bag in the hall, Jacob was sitting on the side staircase, hidden, holding a toy car. From there, he witnessed his uncle, Stephen Whitmore, Richard's brother, calmly walk up to the master bedroom. Stephen often visited the mansion unannounced. He was a fast talker with a charming smile and a reputation for fixing problems for the family. Jacob had always feared him, though he couldn't explain why. He watched as Stephen entered his parents' room, pretending to look for a document. Minutes later, Jacob saw the exact gesture. His uncle opened Donna's dresser drawer, took out a small blue velvet box, and slipped it into the inside pocket of his blazer. The boy had no doubt. That was the necklace everyone now accused the delivery man of stealing. However, when he tried to tell his father, Richard cut him off. "Jacob, don't make up stories. The necklace disappeared because that young man stole it. Don't get confused." His father's harsh voice silenced him. Jacob knew that, in his house, a child's word weighed far less than an adult's appearance. In the days that followed, Jacob carried the weight of the secret. He watched his mother sob, repeating that the necklace had sentimental value because it was a wedding gift. He overheard his father talking on the phone with lawyers, reinforcing the version that Kevin was guilty. The boy shrank into silence, feeling as though he was betraying someone innocent. It was the nanny, Angela Parker, who noticed his strange behavior. A practical, attentive 30-year-old woman, Angela had genuine affection for the boy. "You've been too quiet, Jake. What's going on?" she asked one evening as she helped him put away his toys. Jacob hesitated, but he couldn't hold it in. In a low voice, he told her everything. His uncle, the blazer pocket, the blue box. Angela widened her eyes in surprise but stayed calm. "Are you sure of what you saw?" He nodded firmly. Angela knew the risk. Saying something like that could cost her job. But inside, a conviction grew. She couldn't ignore it. The delivery man was being publicly destroyed, while the true culprit remained protected by the Whitmore name. Meanwhile, Kevin was living rock bottom. With his account suspended and no money, he started working in a warehouse in downtown Los Angeles, hauling boxes for endless hours. His muscles ached, but the deeper pain was seeing his name tarnished across social media and blogs. "Thief delivery man," local headlines said. Every click felt like a stab. One Sunday afternoon, exhausted, Kevin walked into a small cafe near Broadway. He ordered only a plain black coffee, the cheapest option, and sat in silence, staring into the cup as if it could hold the answers. It was in that unlikely place that Jacob, accompanied by Angela, found him. The boy approached timidly, clutching the nanny's arm. Kevin, confused, recognized his face from the mansion. His heart raced when what was that boy doing there? Jacob took a deep breath and with the sincerity only a child could have, said, "I saw who took the necklace. It wasn't you." Kevin nearly dropped his cup. He was in shock, speechless. Angela added, "He saw your uncle, Stephen. He went into the room, took the box from the drawer." Jacob remembers every detail. For a moment, the cafe fell into absolute silence. Kevin stared at the boy, searching for signs of hesitation, but found only the purity of someone telling the truth. Tears threatened to fall, but he held them back. For the first time since the accusation, someone believed him. Angela urged caution. "We need proof. A child's word won't be enough against a man like Stephen Whitmore." But a spark of hope lit inside Kevin. For the first time, there was a thread of truth that could unravel the injustice. Jacob, with firm innocence, added, "I want to help you. What they're doing isn't fair." Kevin nodded slowly. He didn't know how, but he understood that this boy could be the key to changing everything. While the necklace remained missing, the battle was no longer just between a delivery man and a wealthy family. Now there was an unlikely alliance. An invisible worker, a discreet nanny, and a child ignored by his own parents. Together they were about to confront not only a hidden crime, but also the weight of a system that always favored the powerful. And at that moment, in a modest cafe in downtown LA, the first spark of a turning point was born. Kevin Ramirez never forgot the moment he heard Jacob say, "It wasn't you I saw who took the necklace." That simple phrase, spoken from the trembling voice of a child, carried a different weight. It wasn't just a defense. It was the first spark of truth in a sea of accusations. In the days that followed, Kevin secretly met with Jacob and Angela, the nanny. They gathered in discreet places around downtown Los Angeles, a cheap diner on 7th Street, a quiet park near Main, always avoiding the attention of anyone they knew. Angela insisted on caution. "We can't just accuse Stephen. We need something solid, something that proves it." Jacob, for his part, remembered every detail with startling precision. His uncle's hand movement, the blue velvet box, the metallic click as it shut inside the pocket. For Kevin, it was impossible to ignore. But how could they turn this into proof? Angela came up with the idea. Stephen was known for flaunting in Santa Monica bars, bragging about shady deals and connections. If anyone could catch him letting something slip, it would be in those careless moments. "He trusts himself too much. We need to expose him," she said. Kevin hesitated. He wasn't an investigator, just a delivery man barely able to pay rent. Even so, he knew it was his only chance to clear his name. On a Friday night, Angela took Jacob to sleep at his grandmother's house and went with Kevin to an upscale bar on Wilshire Boulevard, where they knew Stephen often hung out. Kevin wore a plain jacket trying to blend in. Angela, bolder, approached the counter. Stephen was there, laughing loudly, surrounded by acquaintances. With a phone discreetly propped on her bag, Angela started recording. She joined the group, pretending to be interested in casual talk. Stephen, already drunk, spoke without filters. "These Beverly Hills rich folks are as easy to fool as anyone else. My sister-in-law didn't even notice what happened. It was right in front of me." The group laughed. Kevin, just a few feet away, almost lost his breath. The words weren't a direct confession, but they carried the arrogance of someone who knew he had done something hidden. Angela pressed lightly with casual ease. "So how was it? I bet no one suspects." Stephen smirked, leaned closer and said, "The Uber Eats kid is taking the blame. Better that way. Who's going to believe his word against ours?" The recording was done. Angela discreetly stopped the phone, her heart racing. Kevin felt his hands sweating. It was their first concrete step, but it wasn't simple. The next day, they took the audio to a community lawyer in East LA, known for defending immigrant workers. The lawyer listened carefully and said, "This helps, but it isn't enough. It's suggestive, not definitive proof. We need to link the necklace directly to Stephen." Jacob, hearing this, gathered courage. "I know where he kept it." Everyone turned to the boy. He explained that weeks earlier, while visiting his uncle at his Hollywood loft, he had seen the same blue box in a desk drawer, hidden under papers. No one had paid attention at the time, but now the memory made sense. The group set up a risky plan. Angela, pretending to make a social visit, went to Stephen's loft with Jacob. While Stephen was distracted on the phone, Jacob discreetly pointed out the drawer to her. There it was, the blue box. They didn't open it, didn't touch it, but Angela managed to snap a clear photo. Back with the lawyer, they showed the image. Now we have something. The audio and the photo together are strong enough to pressure the police. Kevin knew he'd still face resistance. After all, it was ordinary people's word against Whitmore. But with renewed courage, he returned to the West Los Angeles station, this time with the lawyer, Angela, and Jacob. They handed over the recording, the photo, and the child's testimony. The officers listened in silence. One of them remarked, "If this is true, we're looking at a serious case of false accusation." Kevin stood firm. "This isn't just about me. It's about all delivery workers treated as guilty just for stepping into a rich house. I won't stay silent." The investigation was reopened. Stephen was summoned to testify. He tried to deny it, but the recording and photo quickly spread on social media when one of the officers, outraged, leaked them to the local press. Headlines started to appear. "Delivery man may have been wrongly accused in Beverly Hills theft case." Suddenly, the narrative shifted. Blogs that once called Kevin a thief now published interviews about the struggles faced by gig workers. On Twitter, the hashtag #JusticeForKevin went viral. Inside the Whitmore mansion, Richard and Donna tried to keep their composure. Richard confronted his brother. "You put the whole family at risk. You used an innocent man as a scapegoat." Stephen laughed dismissively. "You know that in the end, they always believe us. But this time it wouldn't be so simple." Jacob overheard the argument from behind the stairs. When he saw his father storm out, he gathered courage and said, "I told you from the beginning. Kevin never stole anything." For the first time, Richard was speechless before his son. Meanwhile, Kevin felt something he hadn't in weeks. Real hope. He wasn't safe yet, but the truth was starting to emerge, and this time, it couldn't be silenced. The necklace has been found. The news came early in the morning, brought by a KTLA news reporter standing outside Stephen Whitmore's loft in Hollywood. Police displayed the small blue velvet box as evidence after executing a search warrant. Inside, the diamond necklace gleamed, the same one that had fueled scandal for weeks. Kevin Ramirez watched the live broadcast on an old television at the corner cafe where he often spent his time. His hands trembled, not from fear, but from relief. For the first time, he saw the truth exposed on public television. The headline was clear: "Delivery man cleared after investigation reveals false accusation in Beverly Hills mansion." Meanwhile, at the Whitmore mansion, the atmosphere was tense. Richard couldn't face his son Jacob. Donna remained silent, her face worn, as if all the luxury around her had lost meaning. The scandal was in every newspaper, and now the Whitmore name carried the stain not of theft, but of injustice against a worker. The repercussions were immediate. On Twitter, the hashtag #JusticeForKevin exploded. Delivery workers across the country shared similar stories of unfair accusations, humiliations at customers' doors, automatic suspicions based solely on their profession. Kevin, once invisible, had become a symbol of something much greater. That afternoon, he was invited to give an interview to NBC Los Angeles. Nervous, sitting in front of the cameras, he said, "I just wanted to work. I never thought I'd have to prove I'm not a thief. I represent many delivery workers who face prejudice every day. We are not invisible." His words went viral. Jacob watched secretly from his room. He felt a mix of pride and relief. After all, it had been him who, with the courage of a child, revealed what no one wanted to hear. That day, for the first time, Richard entered his room, sat on the edge of the bed, and simply said, "You were right, son. I'm sorry I didn't believe you." Jacob cried quietly. Angela, the nanny, became a key figure in the story. Without her, Jacob's voice would have remained silenced. When asked by the press why she risked her job, she replied, "Because the truth matters more than keeping up appearances." Stephen, on the other hand, now faced formal charges of theft and obstruction of justice. His arrogance vanished when he saw police display the necklace. The man who thought himself untouchable was now portrayed as a symbol of privilege and moral corruption. For Kevin, however, the fight didn't end with his innocence. The app sent a cold email: "Your account has been reactivated." But he wasn't sure he wanted to return to the streets as if nothing had happened. The experience had marked him deeply. He spent days reflecting in East Los Angeles, walking through the streets where he grew up, remembering his dream of opening a cafe. Then came a surprise. An online fundraiser created by delivery workers and anonymous supporters had raised thousands of dollars. The description read, "For Kevin to build the future that was almost stolen from him." The amount wasn't millions, but it was enough to take the first step. In his neighborhood, he rented a small shop and began setting up his cafe. He named it Blue Box Cafe, an ironic reference to the blue box that had nearly destroyed his life, but it also brought the truth to light. Every cup served there carried a story of resilience and dignity. The opening was modest but special. Angela brought Jacob to see the place. The boy ran to the counter and smiled at the sign. "Blue Box. I like the name." Kevin knelt to meet his eyes and said, "Without you, I wouldn't be here." Jacob, shy, just nodded. Outside, a few delivery workers parked their bikes and scooters to show support. It wasn't just a cafe. It was a symbol of victory against injustice. The story echoed for months. Short documentaries were made, articles published. But for Kevin, the greatest victory was something simpler: regaining the peace of looking into his mother's eyes and saying he had won. Lucia, emotional, held her son's hand inside the newly opened cafe. "You turned pain into hope," she told him. Kevin smiled, remembering every sleepless night, every held-back tear, every suspicious look. Now, all of it had transformed into something greater. In the end, the case left a mark on Los Angeles, not only for exposing the arrogance of a wealthy family, but for showing that even a child's voice could tear down walls of power, and that a delivery man, invisible to many, could become a symbol of resilience for all. As the sun set behind the downtown buildings, Kevin wiped down a cafe table. Outside, the city rushed on, indifferent. But inside that space, every detail breathed victory. He looked at Jacob, sipping hot chocolate, and at Angela, laughing as she spoke with Lucia. For the first time in a long while, he felt he didn't need to prove anything to anyone. The truth had won. And you? Have you ever witnessed an injustice that was only undone because someone had the courage to speak the truth? Share your opinion in the comments. I'd love to hear it. If this story moved you, leave a like so more people can discover it and subscribe to the channel. That way you won't miss the next stories that reveal just how much the truth can transform lives.